Welcome in. Hope you had a great 4th of July. We're ready to set off some fireworks a day after with former Wolverine Jim Scarcelli, who joins us. Scar, how are you?
Hey, man, 4th of July weekend. It's all good. Ate a little too much. Got the American flag flying, and I also got the Michigan flag flying. You come by my house, though, that's what you're seeing, Denny. The American flag and the big Block M flag flying proudly.
Pretty good. Too many hot dogs, too many hamburgers, combination? What was it?
Little everything.
Little everything. Yeah, I know. A little pasta salad, potato salad. I get it. Extra hot dog. I understand that. Well, today we're always here talking about the latest and what's going on with Michigan, and today is no different. And we've got Michigan offensive coordinator Sherrone Moore drawing up some X's and O's and talking about it. We'll listen a little bit to the coach and then listen a little bit to Jim Scarcelli, the coach, kind of the coach of the coach, looking through some tape. I'm looking forward to that. We've been talking about Michigan being ranked, and, it just so happens that the man on the screen way back in his first year, he remembers when Michigan was number 1 in the preseason, and we'll have him go back and tell us what that was like and his memories of his first year at Michigan when the team was tabbed as the number 1 team in the land. But this week, Michigan was able to grab a couple of recruits, and we wanted to get Scar's thoughts, on recruiting in general, and then, other things that he had been thinking about. As you know, the Maize and Blue Review is on top of recruiting from front to back. And if you want to know what's going on with football and who's coming in, the latest intelligence, join up the Maize and Blue Review today. Go to michigan.rivals.com. Great discussion over the weekend on 5 stars and Michigan and Ohio State and cooler heads sifting through the rubble of Justin Scott. I found it interesting going through it and talking about all of that. And I just looked over there with Josh Henschke, the publisher. He's got some transfer portal news via basketball. So you want to check that out if you're a Michigan fan, obviously. Well, Scar, the Wolverines, they sit at 25 commitments. Rivals has them as the number 3 team in their rankings with those 25 commits. First, last week they got a linebacker here locally, Belleville. I go back, I remember Ian Gold coming in as a running back, moved over to linebacker, but he was a part of the 97 championship team. He was from Belleville, and now you get Beasley. And what did you make of Michigan being able to keep him close to home?
He's a good-looking player. He plays running back. He plays linebacker. He's got the speed to play linebacker in today's game. He's a tough, athletic kid, and it's a great pickup for us. But I really want to get the Belleville pipeline going, Denny. We haven't done really, really well, seeing how close they are to Michigan. I mean, I get it. A lot of kids want to leave. They want to leave the area they grew up in. That's just what it is for some kids. But I would like to see that pipeline get going there. The old coach, Jermaine Crowell, is gone. Maybe the new coach might help us more. I don't know. But this kid is a kid, not sure where they're probably going to play him at linebacker, though. But I want to see the pipeline going. And I'm hoping that this maybe with like I said, a new different head coach there at Belleville, this can help us.
Yeah, a head coach, Scar, a coach. I don't know what your approach was, but it can have a huge impact on where kids are going to end up going. What was your policy there about coaches coming after your guys there? How did you approach it?
You just have to be. You got to just do the best you can to inform the kid of all the different schools and just stay partial, totally unbiased, man. And just present the schools to the kid. And if he asks your opinion about it, but I would never oversell this. Listen, I'm not taking a shot at Jermaine Crowell at all because he's a good coach, and he had put a lot of kids in college, but you just never know. I don't know. He's gone. Maybe we'll see a change. But yeah, my approach was just to bring as many colleges into the school as possible to look at your kids. every high school coach wants to promote their kids and do the best they can to sell them to the different colleges. But those colleges are, they know what they want. They're only going to listen to you so much. You can't make them any taller. You can't make them any faster. They see the film, and I just try to stay neutral, Danny, and promote your kid.
Yeah, promote your kid. Do they give you? I would think you only have so much that you can do to try to figure out if a kid's a fit, his personality, his character, all of those things. And talking to the head coach, most of the time, going in, the coach is going to be pretty biased, not give you the, what kind of kid he's a great kid. Did they pry a little bit trying to figure out?
Oh yeah. They're going to want a college coach wants to know everything they can that they're not seeing on film. They want to know, does he get along with all the what do the teachers think of the kid? What's the principal think of the kid? What kind of teammate is he? What's he doing? Is he in there in the weight room every day on time, working hard? Is he an everyday practice, hard, tough team guy? All those little things that they can't see on film. That's what the college coach wants to know. And I didn't always give the same pitch recommendation for every single kid, because some of them just weren't. I just wanted to be honest. I wanted those guys to come back because I didn't want to send them a kid that maybe didn't have the greatest work ethic as other kids. So I wanted the guys to come back so that they know they were going to get a good opinion, good reference from me that was truthful.
Yeah, I've heard Nick Saban in the past, like addressing his team. I don't know if it's in the summer or if he does it every year, saying, look, these pro coaches are going to ask me, what about this guy? What about that guy? So go out there and make sure you're doing the work. So, he can give them.
That's right. It's the same situation. He doesn't want to, and those pro coaches talking to the college guys and the college guys talking to me. And sometimes it's not what I say as a high school coach. It's what I don't say, and the smart college coaches will see that, you know what I mean? So, that's the high school job the coach has to be, because a lot of the college coaches, they know which guys are always, they're just, this kid's the best thing, the best, every single kid is the best. Every single kid is a great attitude, never miss practice, never late kind of kid. I mean, after a while, the college coach, he's not even buying anything you're saying. So you got to be, you got to try to be honest with the guy.
Let's give a shout out to Kevin, who is a longtime pod listener. He's not very live, not catching the live show very often, but he is today. So we give him a shout out there. And we also want to say hi to Scott, who I was a little hard on the other day because his name was Scott, and I wasn't really feeling it when it came down to Justin Scott. But Scott's back, and, that's good. That's good. So we like to see him on there. All right, Michigan also, along with Beasley, they were just able to yesterday grab another recruit, and this one, Scar, a defensive end, a 4-star defensive end, Elias Rudolph, and now this gives Michigan 5 defensive ends, rush ends, or a defensive end, however the scheme ends up being there. But Michigan has had, we all know, we talk about it a lot, especially since they've gone to this 3-4. They've had a lot of success with the edge guys, putting them in the pros. And when you look at this particular year transfer portal, you make a case that, this is one of their strongest positions, and it's been one of their strongest positions. And now it looks like it's going to continue that way because they're recruiting strongly with being able to pick up in the latest Rudolph, who was a Cincinnati kid and then just went down to Florida this last year. And he was the guy that was offered by Ohio State. So you like that when you're a Michigan fan.
Oh, that's what you want. Yeah. And this kid is he's a good looking athlete. He's a big time kid. He's a Quiddy Pay type kid. David Ajabo. He's an athletic kid. We'll coach him up. We'll get him ready. No hurry to get him ready. He's a kid. The good thing, Denny, about recruiting guys like this is that, if as he goes through the weight round and training table and Ben Herbert in 2-3 years, he could be a guy that could play inside. Like a Jenkins. Jenkins was more of an outside guy initially when they were recruiting him. And then he just kept getting bigger, and stronger, and now he's a dominant 3 technique. This kid could be that kind of kid, but this is a huge pickup for us. I was sad to see you hate to lose a kid you're recruiting to go to Ohio State. You rather see him go to Notre Dame or someone else you're not going to play, but you hate to see Scott because that hurts us on both ends. And a quick comment on Beasley. One of our callers asked about Beasley, playing him redshirt. I think because of our linebacker situation, that kid will be redshirted. No hurry to get him on the field. We got five linebackers that can play. So I don't see him playing probably at all this year. Take your time, redshirt him, get him ready and acclimated with school and everything, and get him ready for next year.
There you go. Scott asking you a question about he says, can you iron that old Michigan t-shirt and bring it back to life? Hey, you know what?
I don't own an iron, Denny. I don't own one, man. I just hang it, man.
That's is that one from 1981?
No, I don't know where I got this. It's old, but it's I don't own an iron, man. So it is what it is, man.
Here's another one for you from Jason. It says, Scar, we know you have attended some practices. Is there one coach you didn't know well that you rubbed elbows with that really impresses you with coaching ability and knowledge?
I don't. I've watched all of those guys coach, and I'm impressed watching them teach, watching them motivate. Jim does not bring in guys that can't teach and motivate and recruit, and I watch them, and I haven't sat down with them. When I was a high school coach, I would go to clinics and I would have a better relationship, and you could talk to these guys and get to know them a little better. I can't say that there's one guy that really. I'm impressed with the whole staff. I know it's a weak answer, but I don't. I don't know them like I did when I was coaching. That was the great thing about clinics, Denny. You could sit down with the guy. Some of these small clinics, and I remember sitting down with Dan Mullen, one-on-one, just his staff, my staff, in smaller environments. You could just fire questions at these guys, and that's, I haven't really done much of that lately. I haven't been coaching in a long time.
Yeah, I've missed out a little bit. Back when I worked in Ann Arbor, we had a Thursday assistant coaches show. So you'd get to know the guys that way, just talking to them over the radio. But also, I'd spent a lot of time in Ann Arbor. I used to play basketball, and there were a lot of the coaches that would be over there. And after you run 4 or 5 times, a couple months, and everything, get to know the guys. As people, not just as the coaches. So much better relationship. And then COVID, there was a separation there where you weren't even down there seeing the coaches face to face. But getting that back, I can tell you that I talked with somebody who was down at some of those practices, and 2 coaches that this guy raved about, and talked about both of these guys as future head coaches. And one was Mike Elston. The guy was telling me about Elston and just saying, man, when you watch him go through, he's just got it. And I get that when you're talking, this guy played football too. So it wasn't just like, hey, I was kind of impressed with the way he was talking. The communication skills, whatever else, he said that about Elston. He also said the same thing about Steve Clinkscale, that you watch him coach and just the relationship that he has with his position group, you can just see it, that guy would make.
Denny, honestly, I would say every single assistant coach on that staff could be a head coach. I watch them all coach. They all have they're good assistants. The one guy I know really good that I worked with at the camp that's still there, he's only an analyst now, is Freddie Jackson. I spent the whole week with Freddie. I go way back with Freddie. I worked the camp with him for a week. I watched him coach. I know how he talks to kids. I know, he's only an analyst, but Freddie is, I know he's helping recruit when those kids come on campus there. But I think every guy on their staff is ready, willing, and capable to be a head coach. They just got to, get that opportunity.
And some of it, I don't know how many people out there listen to during the season. They'll have the different coaches come in there on a Monday and just talk with the media. And it doesn't, if you're not good answering questions, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad coach, but if you're going to be a head coach, a lot of times, having some of that charisma, and it could be it can work both ways. You say, this guy's just all talk or whatever else, he's up there, he's a great talker, but can he coach? But, having all of that, I just say, I just remember the first time I saw Sherrone Moore, and I've never actually seen him in person, but I've watched those, those coaching videos of those news conferences that they have. And within a minute or two, I was like, man, this guy's got it. I mean, when it comes down to communicating, you could see how he would be able to, talk with his players, but then also get out there and, sell his players and sell his position group and the team and the university and everything. And, I saw that the first time out. I do see that with Clinkscale as well, man. He's somebody that, when I listen to, I think, I could see really wanting to play for him. Like, he's, you can tell he's behind his kids, he's got that relationship. That all doesn't always come through with all of the coaches. And again, it doesn't mean that they're not head coaches. People,
the head coach, listen, the assistant coach, Danny, you're talking to your 10, 12 kids every day. You're not asked to speak to the whole group. A coordinator is now speaking in front of the whole defense or the whole offense. But the head coach, now that's a different skill, speaking and motivating and getting things going from the head coach's level. That's a whole different thing. And then you have to have that skill of hiring great assistant coaches, and putting the whole thing together. That's the talent of the head coaches, building that right staff, identifying the right assistant coaches. And Jim didn't have it right at first, man. We got it right now with our defense. I tell you that. And he didn't always have it right. And it took him a little while to figure it out, but we're hitting it. Again, our scheme, our system, our assistant coaches is as good as he's ever had it. It's better. It's solidified, and it's as good as he's ever, it's the best. It's the best we've ever had since he's been there. Yeah. And the other part about that is that, you're a different person when the camera's on, a little bit different. And some of it, like, you think about Bill Belichick, and, Bill Belichick is up there, he couldn't be any more of sometimes you'd say jerk when he's standing up there at some of these press conferences, but you also get to see that other side at times when he's talking about the history of the game. And then he's talking to his players, but you see some of his former players say, you don't want to play for this guy, man. He's, somebody that it would be the worst guy. I think, with Harbaugh, sometimes at his press conferences, you could be, man, this guy's kind of, people call him bizarre sometimes, quirky. But then you see some of those videos where he's walking around with the kids and the parents, and then you're like, he's a different, he's different than when he's up there. The proof is in the pudding on recruiting day, Danny, and the proof is in the pudding with the record at the end of the season. That, if you're recruiting, that means you're not, you can communicate. You're not, you can't be some weirdo goofball and recruit. You got to be, you got to be able to talk to people.
Well, hey, it was one of the things that impressed me when he was coming in. I know it was a lot of fanfare about that. But first it was the satellite camps and it was the signing day. But he was, he would drive around a car at the Indy 500. He would milk a calf. He would climb a tree. I mean, he was doing everything. It's like, man, is there anything Jim won't do? To land a player? And the answer was, it didn't seem like it. He was ready to do anything to land one between the lines. Count 22 talking about flips. Will a guy like Justin Scott flip after a Michigan blowout win in November? I mentioned the posting board, the Den of the Maize and Blue Review, and I was feeling it on Monday about Michigan. Look, not only did they lose the big defensive tackle, I know you wanted. You were talking about, boy, it would be a nice one to get in Scott a couple weeks ago, Scar, and he ends up kind of out of the blue, going down and committing to Ohio State. Friday, I'll have a little bit more on that, but one of the posters did a great job last year of all of the different, over the last 2 years, the flips of at least a half dozen guys. I would almost want to say in both classes that, Michigan's not done. They got a ton of players that flipped at the end. And, Michigan ended up getting him. So there'll be a couple that might flip that are on this team, but then, they'll end up in this class, but they'll also, grab some. I don't know specifically about Scott, but, Michigan winning 3 times in a row, you might at least do a little bit more than plant a seed.
Yeah, he was real big on that, Denny. He was real big on his love for that as the coach, Larry Johnson, right? Is his name, the D line coach, great recruiter, former Penn State. Hey, we beat him again, and Ryan Day feels more pressure. Maybe he starts firing coaches, and if Larry Johnson's one of them, then you might see some flips. That's what you want to do. You want to beat him, so he has to start firing more coaches.
Yeah, there you go. We'll see. All right, Scar, let's move on. And we wanted to get to some of this, or this, 2-minute film that we have here. Let me put it up. This is last year, Michigan and Illinois. And as you see up in the upper right corner, that is the aforementioned Michigan offensive coordinator, Sherrone Moore. And, Sherrone talks through some of these plays. Well, we'll listen to a little bit of Sherrone, and then we will stop it, and then we'll talk through it a little bit.
Okay. So players,
go ahead, run.
Right. So this one right here, we're running wrap power here to get the extra defender on the front side without having that blocker on the front side. Again, really good run by our receiver. Again, the cool thing about this play, and why I wanted to watch this from the right, is watch our quarterback. Now he gets thrashed here, so didn't want him doing this ever again.
All right. So a couple things there. You got J.J. McCarthy. Everybody loves seeing him down there, but he ended up getting smashed there. I think this is the first play of the game against Illinois, but you saw some of the blocking there. Exactly, I think how they draw it up. They love, when they say during the game, boy, they're going to love this one in the film room. They love this one in the film room, Scar.
Yeah, it was really Juan before the snap. I like the adjustment. I don't think they had a great adjustment to it. We did some things there and blocked it well. They overran it on the backside. They over pursued it. First play early in games. Sometimes, Denny, defensively, I know as a former, sometimes guys they overrun things. They get beat on reverses because they're a little too fast. They got to get settled down. But yeah, you don't want JJ doing this. But this is a great run by Corum. It's not very sound by Illinois. We'll take a little look as you move through this film. I'll show you some of the things they did that weren't very sound.
Didn't want him doing this ever again. But he was a hockey player. He's a tough kid. But just the mentality that they all have. If the quarterback's doing that on the field, why not everybody? All right. So we're going to pound him on the front side. Right, true.
I'm gonna stop it right here, Scar, because there was a couple times I remember last year when you saw Gio El Hadi get a shot to come in and play, and you would say, "Hey, El Hadi looks pretty good. Boy, that El Hadi can block." And
yeah,
it's one of those where you see 58.
Denny, I don't know if they can see my mouse. Can they see my mouse here? Probably not. Anyway, here's why I like this play, Denny. Okay, as he runs it, we got easy down blocks. Let's start with the tight end, 84 Honigsburg. Down block, easy, down block, easy. That's what you want to give your offensive line. You want to give them easy blocks. You want to give them angles. You want to give them advantages. These are the things I talk about from a coaching standpoint. You don't want to ask guys to make difficult blocks. Down block, easy for our tight end, our left tight end. Down block, easy by our left tackle. Down block, easy by our left guard. Our center's going to step and take a peek at the tackle, the 3 technique at the top. You're going to see El Hadi pull. I think our tight end, 18 in the backfield, he's still a freshman. He doesn't get a great block, but it's good enough. And here's a thing, Denny, that people are doing more and more. If you're going to see Ronnie Bell over here, number 8, you're going to lead a receiver in through this power play. Okay, Jim used to run this play with tight ends all the time. But now the advantage of a receiver is he's going to get there fast. He's fast. He can get there all the way from the opposite side of the field. He's not going to bring as much punch as a tight end. But I like this play before it's even run because of the angles. Go ahead and run it, and let's listen to Sherrone Moore.
2 back, old school power, just out of a pistol, not from under center. And this was actually the first play of the game. You can see the down block by 76 here. It's really good. You talked about 58. That last picture was as a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman here. Back block by 50. And then the pull 1, 2, 3. Really good job by the right guard here. Steps over the line and then pulls into the line of scrimmage with his eyes on that front side linebacker. And he's an extremely powerful kid, as you can see on this clip as he pulls. But does a really good job opening that hip, rips this left arm, this backside arm naturally comes through and rips that backside arm through his back pocket, which opens his hip up, and then doesn't cross over because now his balance to get to the second level and then climbs to make contact on the second level. Okay.
Denny, take it back to the beginning of just get it so I can see the formation again. Anyway, yeah, started right from the very beginning of the. Okay, there's pause it right at the get to the pre-snap. Anyway, as we go through this, we have three block. Yeah, stop. We have three blockers. They got three blockers. This kid is the biggest. This guy right here, this safety on the backside, he overruns it. That's the biggest mistake for them. But they're not real sound on this play side. They got three guys, and we got three guys blocking them. This end here and these two linebackers here, and they just don't fit it up real well. Corum makes the great read, but their backside safety and linebacker, the state backside safety more than anything on their defense. He's too fast. He overruns it. He's this kid at the top right of the picture here, Denny, the safety at the top of the screen.
He overruns it.
I think he's got a 221 or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's the worst guy for their defense. He overruns it, but go ahead, run it.
All right.
That last picture was as a freshman. He's a redshirt freshman here. Back block by 50, and then the pull 1, 2, 3. Really good job by the right guard here. Steps over the line and then pulls into the line of scrimmage with his eyes on that front side linebacker. And he's an extremely powerful kid. As you can see on this clip as he pulls. But does a really good job opening that hip, rips this left arm, this backside arm naturally comes through and rips that backside arm through his back pocket, which opens his hip up, and then doesn't cross over because now his balance to get to the second level and then climbs to make contact on the second level.
Yeah, Scar, I just wanted to say is, it's Zinter who's pulling in there. I always think of these guards, and you got to be tough, and you're right there at the line of scrimmage. But, Zinter here, he's pulling. He's athletic enough. He goes down the line. It's not like he's, getting his shoulders into that linebacker. He just extends his arms and uses his leverage and basically just throws him down on the ground with his hands.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you want guys that are big enough, fast enough, athletic enough. In our offense, we want to pull guys. Everybody on our front, Jim will pull. He'll pull backside tackles across the line of scrimmage. So you want the biggest, most athletic guys you can find. Let me just say this about this football play. This is Jim Harbaugh's favorite play. So we're going to run it from many formations and ask different people to do it. This is the first play Michigan puts in for their offense when they come in on campus as freshmen. They're going to understand how to block the power play. They call it the power play. This is how Jim built San Diego. This is how we built Stanford. And this is what he ran at the 49ers. And then this is what we run here now. So that, you play Michigan, everybody in the Big Ten knows you play Michigan, you got to stop this scheme, this type of play.
All right, this is just about a minute.
We got front side entry here. We'll do both ways. On power, and we'll really just change it up based on week and based on game plan and how we play actually to do different things. But really good job here by the pull. Really good job on the down block by 76 here. He's got his left hand, right, the left tackle. He's got his left hand underneath here on the 4-eye and getting great movement here. You can see again, here's the strain piece you talk about. Okay, not just blocking the guy, but I'm making a block, and now I feel him on one leg. I'm going to strain, right? I'm going to take that extra strain, that extra piece, all right, to really make this play even better. And that's when you change the difference. That's when you make the difference in the run game, right? When your guys understand that it's not just shielding or long off. It's not that initial contact. It's the 4 or 5 seconds, the 6 seconds it takes to strain to make a big play. All right, when you have really good players around you.
Yeah, Danny, that's probably good enough there. He uses the term strain. I used to just call it movement. He had what's our big left tackle? He had contact on, then he gets a little bit of movement. So there was a big gap. That's what our coaches are looking for. There's a pretty good gap there by alignment, how they lined up against us, and then we created more of a gap in there by moving people and blocking it right. And then their safety, backside linebacker safety overran it, and Corum, smart kid that he is, he saw it and made which should have been a 6-7 yard play into a 30-yard run.
Yeah, I just think if Blake Corum didn't get hurt in that game, it wouldn't come down. I don't think you'd have had all those interesting plays down at the end where Michigan had their, 4th-string, 5th-string running backs that they needed to count on in that game. Just remember just how good Blake Corum, everything was blocked well there too, but, he had the cut back, and then you just see him weaving it out. You see the footwork. Hopefully he's going to be 100%.
Let me just say this last thing about that play. This is why, you come to Michigan as a receiver, you're going to do stuff like that. Okay. So people say, our Michigan receivers, are they being asked to do the same? Ohio State receivers aren't doing that. They're just not. So, are we going to be able to get some of the kids? Maybe not. But we want a guy that is ready, willing, and able to lead through on a freaking power play away from them and take out some big linebacker. So that's a Michigan receiver.
That's right. There you go. Scar, somebody asked me this. I think it was on Monday. I want to just ask you. When it comes to Sherrone Moore, he's going to be calling the plays. What do you expect from Sherrone Moore as an offensive coordinator? We know that Jim Harbaugh in this offseason said he thinks when it's all said and done, they're going to be close to 50-50 running and throwing, which would make Michigan, just on paper as we talk about, throw the ball maybe 8-10 times more a game. He said the amount of times we throw it and run it is going to be around the same this year. That's what his guess is. Could be a little bit of coach talk. Could be, hey, you got a more experienced quarterback. You want to make some plays downfield. Heck, if they could have hit some of those plays last year, maybe they would have had, more of, that downfield passing game would have clicked earlier. But what do you expect to see from Sherrone Moore as offensive coordinator?
Denny, you'd like the defense to believe that, when they look at their, your tendencies that, you are a 50-50 run pass team. You'd like to have that so they can't overplay run or pass. That would be nice. I don't think that we're going to be there because I'm hoping our run game will be so darn good that we'll be able to hammer people and not have to throw it any more than we really need to. Obviously, I think the Penn State game, you play the Buckeyes. That's where your tendencies change a little more. We're probably going to throw more, than we have against some of the other teams. But it's a good goal to have. I want to just be damn good at all of that stuff in every phase. I want to be able to throw it to every receiver on the field, run it to behind every player on our team, and be just a real tough team to defend from. When they get their tendencies about Michigan that they can't figure out what the heck we're doing. So I don't know. That's what I want.
I like it. Now, Scar, earlier this week, or maybe it was late last week, Reese Davis from ESPN said he would vote Michigan the number 1 team in the country in a preseason poll. I would vote Michigan number 2 in a preseason poll, knowing that I would be dropping them after week 1, after the Florida State LSU game, because I'd be sending the winner of that game to number 1. But your first year that you came to Michigan was ranked number 1 in the preseason. Let me take you back and then go ahead and tell me what you remember about that.
My freshman year, 1981, Michigan had just won the Big Ten championship the year before, had a bunch of guys back, and we were ranked number 1 coming into 1981. Had a lot of good players back. I was only a freshman, wasn't playing, just a guy on the team, but I understand. I saw the mentality of that team. We ended up losing the very first game of the year at Wisconsin. Okay. So I wasn't a starter. I wasn't playing at all, but I was on the team. And then my last year, and we ended up, anyway, that 1981 team ended up losing 3 games. We did win a bowl game, but we ended up 9-3. It was very, I'm sure those guys that were, they felt they underperformed. They probably, they're not happy. The older guys that were playing on that I don't think they felt they accomplished what they should have, because there were a lot of early draft picks on that team. Anyway, my 5th year now, we weren't even ranked, Denny. We're coming off Bo's worst team, 6-6. 1984, going into the 85 team, we were not even ranked. Okay. And we finished number 2 in the nation. So I was on both of those teams. Okay. As a team that was not ranked versus a team that was number 1 ranked. And what's the difference there? When I look at the mentality of the team and how hard they worked, I didn't see any difference in how hard we worked in spring. How hard we worked in the off season, in the summer conditioning. Mike Gittleson was the same strength coach, whether we won or lost. I know coaches were a little more pissed off going into 85. There was a lot of pressure on them. And did it make us play? Look, Harbaugh was a year older. Everybody was a year older in 1985. That's why we had we had good success. The 1981 team, it was a first-year starter at quarterback. John Wangler led the team the year before. Steve Smith was now a first-year starter. They're different. There were some different players in key positions. So, in terms of the mentality of it and what does it do for this team, like where we're at right now, this Michigan team, if they are ranked number 1 by some people, Jim would use it. Listen, people, Jim would say, look, you're respected from what other people did, what people did, prior teams did. And, but there sure as hell isn't going to be a cockiness and a laying down and fat and happy attitude around a Jim Harbaugh team. It's just not going to happen. He'll play it like, look, they respect what you've done, but there's still going to be a pissed off, hungry, Big Ten championship driven, college football playoff driven football team.
Yeah. And you're going to look for that motivation wherever you can get it. If you look, and a lot of people have pointed out about 81, they didn't like that. I mean, it wasn't like that was, you got killed in that game. It was a 7-point game. Another loss was a 2-point loss to Iowa, a pretty close one to Ohio State. So a lot of close losses in there. I understand why the media puts you up there. Bo finally won his first Rose Bowl in 80. It felt like, Michigan won the national championship. But I also think people are pointing out that they just remember coming off the pandemic year that Michigan was the first team to make the college football playoffs unranked. And they really liked that, Wolverines having a chip on their shoulder. And, I thought 8 was about right last year. Then here they were, they went all the way. And we know they made the college football playoff. And the thing about being number 2 is that they're going to get jumped pretty quick because there's some teams that are up there close. There's not a lot between just looking at it. We don't know. There'll be some separation. But when you take about 6, 8, 10 teams, there's not a lot. You can make a case for a lot of those teams. And there's a few of those teams like Florida State and LSU. They're playing week 1. Those teams are going to go to number 1. So if you're looking for that motivation, Michigan's going to get dropped wherever they end up with their non-conference. And there's teams that are going to be leapfrogging them, and then everybody can get upset about it.
Yeah, that'll be we won't really have any big serious contests for a while. But I just want to close on this about that ranked versus unranked. Danny, I wasn't a starter on the 81 team. I was a starter on the 84 team that was 6-6, and I was a starter on the 85 team. And I can just say this: I know there was a lot of pissed off players, and our whole program was just we were upset, and there was a lot of intensity and everything that we did leading up to the start of that season. And it played, and guys were working hard, and it played out pretty well for us.
All right, Scar, let's have you answer some questions before we're all done here. Shadyville says the season's going to come down to JJ's arm. Can he be efficiently explosive in the pass game? We already know he can't continue to do the same thing on offense. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, we just got to keep doing what we're doing. Play great defense, secure the football on offense, have a great run game. We have receivers that'll be explosive enough, and just continue to give defenses problems from all ways, shapes, and forms. I don't, and there's no reason JJ shouldn't throw the ball as well as he had in the past. I firmly believe that our backup quarterback is the second most important player on our football team. So if JJ is able to play every game, and I'm knocking on wood here, Denny, that's going to be great for us. But I don't think I think there's no reason he's not going to throw the ball as well as he had, and that we're gonna need to rely on this kid, to make tough, difficult passes. We don't ask that of our guy. We have enough of a run game. We got the RPO game. We got the quarterback run game. That our quarterback is a lot of look at the Ohio State game. How many of those passes were like really, really difficult? The one to Colson and some of these, they weren't. We're not asking them to dime it in there. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. What I saw from McCarthy, you get back to some of the stuff that we talk about so much, like, players get better from game 1 to game 2, quarterbacks from year 1 to year 2. He's going to be better this year. You go back and watch him in the first game in the first half against Maryland last year. He got better in the second half against Maryland than he was in the first half. Remember, he was fumbling the ball security all over the place. And then when he went on the road against Iowa, he had an issue after that. Then he tightened it up, man. He was really good protecting the ball until the college football playoff. Obviously, He wasn't there. But the passing game that we talk about, Michigan was taking shots downfield. McCarthy was just missing some of those, and he wasn't on the same page with his wide receivers. And he said it a few times. He said, look, I got to put the ball on those guys. He started putting them on them. That Illinois game that we were watching, you think about when it was down there, and Andrell Anthony he did put one in traffic, 2 players there. Anthony, man, he could have been a hero in that game, but it clicked in the Ohio State game. Yeah. And then he was there in the Big Ten championship game. And even though, we saw him, what it would be like, if he was like Dan Marino or something in the college football playoff game. And yeah, he had the 2 picks, but he was, those were really bad, but he was also slinging it around as well. If you're a Michigan fan, I would break this down from Shadyville saying it's coming down to JJ's arm. I think Michigan can be right back in the same spot that they were last year if JJ plays the same way. If he takes it to the next level, that is an explosive downfield passing game. Michigan can win it all.
Yeah. We want to have we want teams to fear our run game. The more they fear our run game, the better our pass game will be. And the more they fear our pass game, the better our run game will be. So they got to play together. Yeah, I guess I was when I'm looking at JJ McCarthy, I was looking at the previous 12 games, not so much. Yeah, he wasn't great in the playoff game. He was okay there. But I think that was a combination of the whole deal, mainly from a coaching and player standpoint, both sides of the ball. Our defensive coaches had their worst game against TCU, and our offensive coaches, we scored some points, but it wasn't as like I thought. I thought we moved the ball better against them.
Yep. All right. Let's see if there's any other questions. We got an Ohio State fan that is jumped in the chat. We'll leave him for everyone else to work with. Mark says you can't win the Natty without elite quarterback play. Someone else will have it, and it's hard to beat the elite quarterback performance in a championship without it. Yeah, I agree with you on that. You're going to need that, and that's the next thing. And Michigan knows that. Harbaugh, I think, knows that. And there you go. I think that's what you're looking at coming up. Well, Scar, you had the 4th of July yesterday. There's no holidays now until Labor Day weekend, and we know that's the kickoff of the college football season. So now, these are some dog days, for the fans and maybe for the players as well. But it's pretty much right around the corner, man. We got through the 4th, and now you get to August and, you know, they go to those Big Ten coaches meetings, that fires you up for about a week or two. And then it's so close, then everybody can just taste it and you're ready. So we're really close now.
Yeah, you know, players, again, it's all about Ben Herbert now, and it's about building that team. There's so much team building going on right now. You know, I was lucky to play under the greatest college football strength coach ever, Mike Gittleson, and he did so much to build team, build toughness. You know, there's so much there's a lot of carryover, Denny. You get a guy in the weight room that'll just crush it and give great effort. That same effort will carry over in football. I believe that as a former coach. And Mike definitely instilled that toughness and intensity. And I think I see the same thing with Herbert. But that's going on. Danny, I just want to throw some other stuff out there that I'm seeing. I'm seeing Tennessee, and these are all little things that help Michigan, in my opinion. Tennessee having a little bit of success. Yeah, we might bump into them occasionally recruiting. But they're getting kids from Georgia and Alabama. You know, they're getting kids that Georgia and Alabama are recruiting. That's what we want. We want, we want to just have it all kind of equally blended out talent in the SEC. We don't want two guys getting all the talent. You know, you follow me? So that's what I see. I saw Oregon got a kid from Alabama. That Alabama was recruiting a kid from the in-state of Alabama. So those kind of things are good. We want to see other people taking Georgia, Alabama kids to kind of even out that SEC talent. And we want to keep seeing people on the West Coast beating USC for kids too.
I'm with you. Sounds great. All right, Scar. It's always great talking with you. Loved watching that tape with you. And we'll talk with you next week.
All right, Denny. Go Blue.
There he is, Jim Scarcelli. Thanks for watching the show. Give us that 5